Tuning the FreeRTOS kernel applications means being aware of memory usage across multiple stacks, heap usage, and of course how the task priority is resulting in a share of that precious CPU. For years I've been dumping some of these metrics out with simple printf statements, but that makes this hard to visualize what's really going on. Using the Mongoose web server from this video sponsor, I'm going to export this data via web services. Then I'm going to use the power of Google Charts on a web page to visualize the metrics. Let's take a look. Hi, I'm John, your concierge to the world of the Raspberry Pi Pico, Pico 2, robotics, IoT and other fun tech. Remember to subscribe and join the community. I get a bit of flack from my students on my FreeRTOS Kernel at Udemy course for not even lining up the columns properly on my printing of these metrics. I hold my hand up to that. I hope in this video I can do better. Of course, what I'm doing in this video is only viable for the Pico W and Pico 2W, but I think I might know a workaround to how to get that onto the wider set of boards. I'll explain that at the end of the video. If you like this video and it helps your learning or projects, why not drop me a cash tip using that super thanks button below the video or the payment link that's in the description. I'm saving these up to get myself to the Open Source Conference in San Francisco, and I'd appreciate your help in getting me there, and of course I'd love to meet you there too. Thank you very much for watching. Do hit the like button and subscribe. In concept, this video is actually really simple, because all we're doing is actually taking FreeRTOS and a standard functions within FreeRTOS that give us access to stats around the task usage in terms of CPU and stack, and of course the wider heap usage around the FreeRTOS ecosystem. And I'm going to take those and I'm going to then expose them through Mongoose as a web server, and that's basically just going to be another task sitting within my FreeRTOS application. And then over on my desktop, I'm actually going to use Google and Google Charts to actually visualize those data. And that's just going to use quite a bit of JavaScript. This video is sponsored by the Mongoose web server. Mongoose has been around since 2004 and it's used in thousands of products and has millions of live units. It supports both the Pico and the Pico 2, i.e. the RP2040 and RP2350 architectures, plus the Wi-Fi module used on these devices. Mongoose provides a web server that can be used to serve static files like HTML, CSS and JavaScript, plus calls into your code via callbacks for dynamic functions and data retrieval, which I use in this video to produce web services. Mongoose also includes its own TLS library for security and even a wizard for designing your own web apps with minimal front-end development. Mongoose is available either under GPL version 2 with community support or a commercial support license. Go check out Mongoose after you've watched the rest of the video. From FreeRTOS Kernel, we can access data and statistics about the heap usage, about the stack, which of course we have a stack within each of our tasks, task priority and task CPU share. So the heap stats we can get very simply from the port get heap stats function. You have to turn this on within the FreeRTOS config, but once available, then this is the data we can get. Actually, what is the available heap space? How many times has bit free been called? How many times has allocate been called? And is there any segmentation of the blocks within the space? So how many free blocks is memory actually organized as? And that's what I do in order to actually display that bottom line on this table. The high watermark in the stack, which I always think is confusing, which is actually the least amount of memory available in the stack for a given task. So the lower the worse, and if you get to 0 then you're in trouble because you've actually run out of stack space. That's available from the get system state function. And that's what I use to show this high watermark on all of my tasks in my demos. We're also interested in the priority of a task. So every task has a different priority. The highest priority task is the one that gets run first, provided it's got something to do. And there are actually some cases where the priority of a function might change. Therefore, there are two priority. So we can see the basic priority, what we originally set it to, and whether that priority has been momentarily risen by a current priority function. Though, to be honest, these will nearly always be the same. And I put them both in my table. Finally, the runtime counter is the other really useful thing, and this is, in the way I set it up, the number of milliseconds that the task has gained of CPU time. Now, this all creates this wonderful table, which is really useful, but surely we can do better, because it isn't terribly easy to imagine from table to table what's actually going on. So in this project on GitHub, I'm going to do better. So on my Pico W, I'm going to run FreeRTOS, and then I'm going to place Mongoose on there as a task within that. So that's going to then expose a set of web services over to my laptop, which is running Google and got Google Charts on it, and that's all coming from a nice web page. And so they're going to communicate together. Now, where's that web page going to be located? Now, I've decided to place that web page on my laptop. And the reason I've done that is, one, it allows me to edit it and work with it more easily. Two, it doesn't use up flash space on the Pico W that I really would rather save for my application. Now, that does mean that I need to put some access control in there to allow the potential cross-site scripting attack, i.e., JavaScript to access a different host and origin from where the actual JavaScript was issued. And so I need to turn on this access control allow origin capability. The easy way to do that within Chrome is to use one of the extensions, allow cause, which will allow you to turn it on for a given web page, which is what I've done to be able to do this. Now, you could go and put that web page onto your Pico W if you wanted as a static web page, using a Mongoose then to serve it, and that will work absolutely perfectly well. And that's what I've done in previous examples with Mongoose. It's just this time, because of the size of the file and because of the fact that I want to be able to edit it and work with it, I've actually kept it locally. So let's have a look at the firmware then. And this is a simple FreeRTOS kernel application that has a set of worker threads and bits of work that it's going to do. Just to give it as an example, it's going to, of course, use Mongoose, LWIP and FreeRTOS, but really the piece I want to look at is this web stats class, which is what is actually running our web services and giving us that data out. So this is a singleton class. It optionally has the ability to connect to the access point if your application isn't doing that already, and really everything else just runs after you hit the start, which starts up the task button capability. The only other capability in here that I haven't talked about previously on the video is that I'm also going to allow you to push basically console messages out to the web browser and on there, and you can do that by just hitting the queue message function. So what's going on the other side? Well, really this is all about running up the Mongoose web server, and there it is, and then we've got a callback function which is looking for a number of particular targets that we're going to provide services on. So task stats, so provide data around the tasks that are running. Heap stats, provide heap information, and messages, provide those console messages. All of them are basically just going to be JSON data that we're going to push back, and all of those are actually going to use subfunctions which are just going to create a string that we're going to push the data out through. So get heap is basically going to use that port get heap stats function, and from that we're going to send back in a array the heap space in bytes, the number of blocks that is split into, the number of allocation or mallocs that have run, and the number of frees that have run. For get tasks, that's going to be a little bit more complicated because we actually need to generate that as a array of arrays. Inside the detail of that array, we're basically going to put the task name, the task number, current priority, base priority, high watermark, and runtime counter. And finally, I have one that's going to do message, and that's going to do the message. And that's basically just, again, putting up an array of all the messages that we've got. So to make life easy for the dashboard that I'm going to load onto my computer, I've just put all of that in a single index file, basically. And we've got a little bit of style at the top, but really most of this is basically JavaScript and a few a layout at the bottom in the HTML, where we're basically going to have a page that gives us the ability to choose how where our Pico W is, and what port number it's on, and how frequently we want the page to get updated as a little form at the top. Then we give 3 graphs about CPU utilization, 2 graphs on stack utilization, the task details page, the heap usage page, and finally messages down the bottom. So really everything is running here from these metrics here when we start this up, and we set up an interval to just update that metrics. And update metrics is going to go through each of our web services to call them, get the response back, and use that, give that to an update function. So let's have a look at update heap metric. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to add a timestamp to the beginning of that array that's come through, and then I'm going to keep storing that and adding it to a data table that I've got here. And that's all of these are done is basically there's a data table for heap, there's a data table for task, and there's a data table there for messages as well. And from those, I can then be quite clever. So when I draw the heap chart, what I actually do is I will actually create a view based on that data table, and I can choose from that view what columns and what rows I want to actually display. So for example, here we have the chart that is going to be the bytes available time series, in which case I want all of the data over time, but I'm actually just going to pick columns 0 and 1, so timestamp plus the amount of data that's actually available. Whereas things like malloc going to be the same. So other things like on the task table, for example, where there I'm going to actually set a row count to actually pick rows that are only for the current. So when I show you a task table on there around these are all the tasks you've got, I'm not going to show you every timestamp. Indeed, I'm just going to limit it to the current timestamp and the most current list of tasks that are available. And that's so then when I'm picking off the columns, I've dropped off column 0, which is the timestamp, because no point seeing that one because we've just set it that it's all going to be the same. So that's what I'm doing really. There is one other slightly unusual one in here, which is the high watermark time series data, because we need to see or want to see time series by task really, or high watermark by task over time. And to do that I need to change the way that the data is oriented. So I need to take the task, which is actually in column 1, and actually make it the columns, and then pull out the amount of high watermark actually in there and put it up there. So I'm doing a metric to row to column translation, and I had to write a little function to basically recreate a new data table by swapping data around in order to give me something that has timestamps as the rows, with the and the columns being the actual tasks, and then the data items being that high watermark. So it's demo time, and this is the rather unappealing looking page that I've ended up with, but actually it's quite useful. So we can put in the name or the IP address of our Pico W here, the port number that we're looking at, and how often we want this page to update. So I'm going to do it every 2 seconds here. And when I start that off, that will then start pulling data back from our Pico W and give me these stats. So we've got here, as you can see, CPU usage. So we've got total CPU usage on the left there, where I can see what's going on and which of my tasks is burning the most CPU. We've got the most recent one in the middle there, and then I've got a time series which I can see over time. And you see it's quite an interesting pattern coming off my task there. Then we can look at stack usage. Again, we've got stack usage momentarily on the left, and then over time in the middle there as a time series. Graphs disappear from time to time for no apparent reason. I don't know why that is, but never mind. Task details. So I've got the task table there that I can look through. Remember that task that we had, a table we had at the beginning? That's basically what's there. And then we can have a look at the heap usage in terms of how much memory we've got available. Are our mallocs and frees going in line, or do we appear to have a memory leak? Is our free memory fragmenting into a number of blocks? And finally, the console messages down the bottom there. I was actually quite surprised by how much I learnt about my own demo by visualizing these metrics. Reviewing the metrics in just a table on standard I/O just isn't the same, and that's because we're really interested in seeing the change over time that allows us to understand behavior. The difference between a still photo and a video, I guess. This is limited, of course, to the Pico W and Pico 2W, as I'm using Mongoose on the device to provide the web services. I could probably add an adapter Python web server on the laptop that talks to the Pico or a Pico 2 over USB and picks up the metrics that way. If you'd like to see that, then leave me a message in the comments and I'll see what I can do. If you like this video and it helps your learning or projects, why not drop me a cash tip using that super thanks button below the video, or the payment link that's in the description. I'm saving these up to get myself to the open source conference in San Francisco, and I'd appreciate your help in getting me there. And if you're going, I'd love to meet you there too. Please do let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do like the video and please subscribe for more. Bye bye and see you next time.